What is up, Tifos? Welcome to Soccer City. Danny Bram's on the mic, holding the mic, eating the mic, hoping that everyone can hear the mic. We've had some audio issues with Danny's mic in recent episodes, and we are hopeful that that is all gone and done behind us. Johnny, welcome to another edition of Soccer City. It's so good to see you today.
It's good to be here. It's one of those, I think, episodes, Danny, that illustrates, how important soccer is in this city right now. Coming off a 3-point performance at home against Austin, and now parlaying that, if you will, into a night with Leo Messi at the Keep. It's going to be, I think, probably the ACC tournament is in town, Danny.
Yep.
It's not the biggest show in town this weekend. It's MLS. It's Charlotte FC versus Inter Miami for sure.
It's Messi. The Messi circus is coming to town. And we figured there's only one person that we could bring in, Johnny, as a guest on today's special episode when it comes to a situation where we have to stop Leo Messi. And that is the Messi Stopper himself, Dax McCarty, the one and only, the man who sent Leo packing in his final home game of his legendary MLS career. Welcome back to Soccer City, Dax McCarty.
What an introduction. I wish every show introduced me like that, man. That would, I get chills. Thank you. I appreciate that, fellas.
All right. Well, then just to give you even more chills, my friend, boom, there you go. We don't celebrate Atlanta United too often on this show, but this is the feeling that we're trying to get on Saturday night, and that's why we brought you in to talk about it.
I love it. I love it. Well, you guys can get that feeling back again. You've had it before against Inter Miami and Mr. Messi there in Charlotte. So, listen, Charlotte coming off a great result. Obviously, they need to have some confidence to play against this Inter Miami team, who I think they're going to be a little bit road weary. Obviously, waiting for their new stadium to open. They're on the road a significant amount to start the year, coming off a really tough midweek game in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Nashville SC. I like Charlotte. I like Charlotte and that unbelievable home support they have.
Dax, I got to admit to you, Danny did not show me that photo before we started this episode, and it wouldn't have passed my pre-show checklist.
Oh, good. That's what good derbies and rivalries are for, right? You don't ever want to celebrate another player in a rival jersey.
No, it's okay. We're happy to celebrate you. We're always happy to celebrate you. And phenomenal work to start the season as always. It's great to hear your analysis. And I think, like, big picture, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on Dean Smith, Ashley Westwood, kind of like the core of this team, right? I think those two are like, it's almost like the hive mind at Charlotte FC with those two. What's your take on how those two are working together to start this season? Does anything look different than the past? And ultimately, was Ashley Westwood somebody that will continue to be Charlotte FC's, I think, captain and the player that this team kind of really uses to galvanize the squad? Because if you look at what happened when Westwood wasn't in the lineup this season, he was sick on the road at LA Galaxy, couldn't play the first half, and they get absolutely blitzed on the field. So, like, talk to me about that relationship and what you're seeing so far this year.
It's been a mixed bag for Charlotte FC to start the season, and I don't think I'm saying anything novel or anything out of the ordinary. I think Charlotte fans would probably agree that it's been. If I had to lean one way or another, guys, I would actually lean towards it's been a little bit more disappointing than encouraging for Charlotte FC. I love Dean Smith, full stop, hand up. I as a player who's had a few English coaches in my time, Dean Smith, there's a level of transparency that he always delivers that I just appreciate more than anything a coach could say. At all of his press conferences, he always gives you an honest, legitimate answer. He never pulls any punches. He never holds back. He's always authentically himself. And I actually see that in Ashley Westwood. We do our MLS countdown shows and we do MLS 360. And anytime that Charlotte has a big game, we try to talk to Ashley Westwood before the game, because we know we are going to get strong answers. We know we are going to not just get fluff. We know we're going to get a person and a player who's well-spoken, who sees the game in the same way that I see the game. Similar players, similar position, right? Ashley's significantly better than I was, but I just feel like he's so important to everything Dean Smith wants to do and wants to accomplish with this team. And I've been a proponent of Charlotte trying to use the ball more, be better with the ball in possession. And I think they can even use Westwood more in midfield to try to play through him, make sure that he's dictating the rhythm and the pace of the game, especially when they play at the bank at home. He's such a vital piece. And so I've got no doubt Charlotte is going to be a contender again this year. It's just been a little bit of a slower start than I would have expected.
Dax, I know it's way too early to start table watching in the league, but I wanted to bring this up just to sort of look at like how we're looking, and just look at the fixture list there to go along with these standings. Some of the teams that are off to hot starts are the teams that Charlotte FC has to face. That's really what I want to sort of get at here. And are they in a spot where they can handle this challenging early season schedule?
I do believe that they can handle the challenging early season schedule, but I also still have question marks with this Charlotte team. And a lot of it stems from their road performances. This is nothing new for Charlotte. This is nothing new to see them struggle on the road. But I would hope now, I believe we're in year 3 of the Dean Smith experiment, and he's really established himself as one of the better coaches in Major League Soccer. But I still think he's yet to figure out how to get the best out of this team when they're on their travels and on the road. They got out of St. Louis with a 1-1 draw where they, quite frankly, weren't the better team. They got played off the field by an LA Galaxy team that absolutely ripped them to shreds in transition and exposed them defensively a little bit. And then against Austin, it was a relatively even game up until the red card. And full credit to Charlotte, that you have to take advantage when a team goes a man down, and you have to be aggressive and you have to push. And Charlotte did that. But I don't see that often enough when it's 11v11. I don't see them imposing their attacking players enough on teams when it's 11v11, at least to start this season. And so I believe that it's going to be a mixed bag with such a difficult early season schedule. I do believe Charlotte is going to continue to pick up points at home because they just feed off of the energy of the support. And look, anytime, we'll probably get into this maybe next, but anytime you have a player, and to me, Pep Biel is the best player on this team. That's no disrespect to Wilfred Zaha, who's obviously a very talented attacking player. But Pep Biel, anytime that Charlotte is in a good run of form or a good vein of form, it seems like Pep Biel is in good form. If you remember back to last year, after he got injured, Charlotte really struggled. They really struggled down the stretch and obviously missed him greatly in the playoffs. And so I do believe it's an important run for Charlotte to continue to pick up points.
It's good analysis, Dax, and I think it's highlighted by the fact we are really dead seriously trying to draw games on the road this year. Like we're not even trying to win games on the road.
Yeah.
We're going into the season and saying like we're learning to love the draw. We want to figure out exactly how to pick up points on the road. And at this point, it's not even about 3 points. What does this team have to do to like tactically? Yeah. Do you think tactically that's something that Dean Smith would set up for? Like at some point, have you ever been involved with have you ever been on a club like that in your playing career?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like you set me up for that one because you knew I was going to go down this path. With my Nashville teams, Charlotte reminds me a little bit of my Nashville teams. Those early days when we were an expansion club, we were really solid defensively and we were very conservative. And I had an English manager in Gary Smith, who similarly to Dean Smith, really something about those English Smiths. He really appreciated defensive organization and solidity and staying compact and not opening yourself up too much on the road. And almost going into a road game with the mentality that, hey, if we get a point in this game, that's a really acceptable result, and that is okay. And it never really sat well with me. I always wanted to be aggressive. I wanted to be this guy who played the same as we did at home and on the road. But there is a reality to all of this that teams are more aggressive at home. Teams sometimes use the energy of the crowd. They're sharper at home. For whatever reason, it is actually skewed so heavily in the home team's favor in Major League Soccer, I think because of this certain mentality. But I think you see it with a team like Inter Miami or even a team like San Diego or LAFC, who they just want to play the same as they do at home as they do on the road. And so I think Dean Smith, I would love to see him set up the same as he does on the road like he does at home. I mean, if he could put more attacking players on the field, I'm sure that would be welcome from the players and also from the supporters. And there's also, I'm of the train of thought that the best form of defending, especially when you're on the road, is just to attack. and to make sure that you pose a threat going the opposite direction. So against the Galaxy, that wasn't the case. Against St. Louis, that wasn't the case. They just weren't much of a threat. I mean, Toklamati really struggled to get involved in the game, and I really rate Toklamati. I think he's a very good player. I rate a lot of Charlotte's attacking players. Toklamati, Zaha, Biel. These are really good, dynamic, talented players that just don't see enough of the ball when they're on the road, and it's because Charlotte has this almost sit back, absorb pressure type of mentality. I would love to see that change because I do think Charlotte is good enough to be able to handle it. But the problem that I think Dean Smith sees is that when you have an aging backline and when you have a backline that loses Adilson Malanda, who put out so many fires, I think there is a kind of approach from Dean Smith that says, I really want to protect my backline. I really want to protect my defensive structure. And if that's your MO as a coach, it's really hard to get away from.
Yeah, and I think John brought it up earlier that we saw the change when Westwood was out, how hard it was, how much left out to dry that backline was, because Westwood does so much work to sort of set things up for the backline to be successful. When you talk about wanting to see Charlotte be more of a ball possessing team and the changes you'd like to see, how does Luca de la Torre fit into that and his adjustment in addition to this team and making Charlotte more of a controlled attack team?
That's a great question. It's why I picked Charlotte FC to still be good this year and to still maybe take a step forward, is because I felt like Luca de la Torre was a little bit of a missing piece, a linking player that could take a little bit of pressure off of Ashley Westwood to have to control the game from the midfield. I love the mayor. I love Brant Bronico, Fit BB. He's a top MLS player and a guy who I think that any good MLS team, you need him as a piece. Maybe not the main man, but as a rotational piece. And I think there are certain games where you can pick and choose where you use him and where you don't, because I think he brings so much value to a club like Charlotte. But also possession, driving the ball forward, being comfortable with the ball at your feet. They were missing a player like that. I also think Diani brings something different to the table, but Luca de la Torre is a possession player. He's a guy who can progress the ball via pass or via the dribble. And he proved that with San Diego, who was so heavily possession oriented. I've actually been really disappointed with Luca de la Torre's start to the season. He looks a little bit disjointed. He looks a little bit out of sorts, trying to adjust to maybe a new style of play. But as with all transfers, it's going to take a little bit of time. And I do believe Luca de la Torre will end up being a very important asset for this Charlotte team. But I think Dean Smith, quite frankly, is still trying to figure out his best balance in midfield. I still think he's trying to figure out how to best put his three best attacking players where they can be the most successful. So Zaha's out on the left. We know that. Toklamati's up top. We know that. Pep Biel, where do you play him? Where is he at his best? Do you play him on the right or do you play him centrally with another winger on the field? And so it just is up to Dean Smith to figure out which midfielders can help them be a better ball possession team, but also you don't want to lose that attacking prowess. They started with Abada at home against Austin, and it's really hard to take too much from that game because of the fact that Austin was down a man for so long, but at least Charlotte was on the front foot consistently. They were consistently aggressive and sending numbers forward, and that's how I want to see them play when it's 11v11. And there's a little bit more risk involved. Like, don't get me wrong. It is a risky proposition to play on the front foot and to send 4 or 5, 6 players forward every single game. And you can't always do that. But I think Charlotte has the players, and I think they have enough quality and enough tactical acumen to be able to execute that at a higher level.
You're speaking Johnny's language.
Well, Dax, I think that position, right, the way that it's laid out, if Pep does play the 10 and Westwood is the defensive midfielder, like that third midfielder, like you said, it's the glue guy. It's
Sure.
almost like let me ask you this, because maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like in that situation, that player is required to go box to box a little bit.
Absolutely. There's no question about it, because for all of the qualities that Ashley Westwood has as a midfielder, he's not blessed athletically. He's very, very similarly to myself as I got older. He reads the game so well. Tactically, he puts himself in great positions to put out fires before they occur. But in any soccer game, there are going to be moments of chaos. There are going to be moments of transition. And as I got older, when I was in Nashville or when I was in Atlanta, I also needed legs around me to be able to help me cover some of those cracks. And so that's why a player like Brandt Bronico is so valuable to Dean Smith, because he's usually the fittest guy on the field every time he steps on the field. And that is a really valuable asset to have. But also, if you're looking for legs and more ball progression, then Luca De La Torre, in theory, should be that player. And I think Luca De La Torre can cover ground. He can be more of an asset as a number 8. And Luca De La Torre might give you a little bit more in the attacking third, but Brandt Bronico is going to give you a little bit more in the defensive third. Diani, he can do a little bit of both, but he's more of to me, Diani's more of a little bit of a luxury player, right? He's got a big frame and a big body, but I don't really necessarily look at him as this enforcer type who's going to be really hard to play against defensively. And so you need Ashley Westwood to be that guy. It's just, again, Dean Smith, game to game. So I'll give you the example. Against Austin, a team who doesn't really like to have possession of the ball and sits a little bit deeper, I think you can be more aggressive. You put more aggressive attacking players on the field, and you do that at home. But against Inter Miami, it doesn't really matter if Miami's at home or on the road. You might have to be a little bit more conservative because, let's be honest, Charlotte will not have more possession than Inter Miami. Inter Miami is a team that will pull you apart with the different rotations that they make in midfield, and they are a team that is just going to dominate the ball. That's just what they do. But if Charlotte can get their balance right, if they can figure out a way to limit the chances Miami has and then also hit them in transition, well, then this is what Dean Smith has to do. He's got to find that balance, and that's what he's done at a really high level throughout his tenure. But I still think if you ask Dean Smith, there's more to come from this Charlotte team tactically.
First of all, I love the fact that you called Diani like a luxury player. The Frenchman, because we're trying to figure out where he fits into this squad, and I think
I feel like that's pretty apt description of.
No, you just freaking nailed it. So I'm thinking about it. Danny, what are we gonna start calling him? Is he Dior? Is he Chanel?
Yeah, Dior.
Which
Dior
one is
Diani? Yeah,
I think Jabril Dior. That really.
Yeah, Jabril Dior. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Dax. I'm going to use that all season. Thank
it.
you for that, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Dax, the analysis is spot on. We appreciate the passion and the fact that you're not afraid to call some of these guys out. I really appreciate your time as always. I want to hit you on one more thing because this has been the fun that we have been having all week. You mentioned Dean being an English manager and what it's all about. You may have seen Pep Biel. He had that great brace on Saturday. He could have had a hat trick because one goal was wiped off for a phantom handball. I don't need to care what you think about the handball or not. What I care about is Dean Smith's reaction because he thought it should not have been a handball. But the sound bites are just insane.
No. If the game's gone, if we're disallowing goals for that, the game's gone. I mean, the VAR guy must have a major in physics.
The game's gone. He's got.
That's why I love Dean Smith so much, is because he's so old school, and yet he will never pull any punches. He just gives you his unfettered opinion. It doesn't really matter if he's going to get a fine or not. And by the way, he's totally fair in what he's talking about. I did see the play. The purist in me absolutely hates the call. It's not for me what the game is all about. For me, I would love to see that goal stand. But by the letter of the law, the referee gets the call right because it is a handball. It does hit all. You cannot convince me that it doesn't hit Brandt Bronico's arm, change direction, and go in the goal. Now, would the keeper have saved it if it didn't deflect or what? That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter because in the rule book, it states if the ball hits any part of your arm and it leads to a goal, whether it's in the attacking phase, whether it's directly, it doesn't matter. It has to be called back. And so I agree with Dean in theory, and I agree with Dean in terms of my purest heart, but in practicality, the referee got the decision right.
For what it's worth, I did randomly see Dean around town a couple days ago when I was out looking at some Champions League soccer on Tuesday afternoon. And I said, "Are you going to get dinged for that?" And he was like, "Nah, they're not going to ding me."
No. I don't think he went overboard. You know what? He would have absolutely taken it way further if Charlotte needed the goal to win the game or something. Then, okay, we would have seen unhinged Dean come out. But you know what? I just have such a great respect and appreciation for Dean Smith. And
Same.
May he continue in Charlotte for a long time.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Well, we are very excited that the season is off and running. It's really strange to be welcoming the Messi circus to town this early, but it's also kind of good to get it out of the way. It's a hot ticket in town. I can tell you tickets are selling for insane prices. Johnny mentioned.
Yep.
There's a lot going on in Charlotte, but this is the big event. So we really appreciate your time, Dax, helping us prepare for it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Dax.
man. No problem, guys. Always love hopping on and enjoying you guys. You do great work. Keep it up.
For the crown, baby.